James greeted everyone that day with his usual warmth. The kind of smile that made people feel safe even when his own world was anything but calm. Behind his steady voice was a quiet tension, an unspoken truth that the days he was living now were heavier and more dangerous than anyone could imagine. Meanwhile, Lynn arrived at their secret meeting spot early, carefully scanning every corner, every shadow, every car passing by. Only when he was absolutely sure did he whisper into his phone that no one had followed him. James, though relieved, still carried the weight of everything he had been forced to confront. In a quiet room, Lynn pulled out his phone and showed James the secretly recorded videos, dark corners of a warehouse. Suspicious figures, fleeting movements. It's something, Lynn said softly, but not enough. I'll need to go deeper. James looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and fear, knowing how dangerous this mission was. But Lynn only smiled, saying this was his way of repaying the kindness James once gave him. While the two men prepared themselves for whatever lay ahead, in a different place entirely, Diep and little Nhi were building a small sandhouse in the yard. The wind was gentle, but Diep's heart was not. Why is Uncle James taking so long? Nhi asked innocently. Diep tried to smile as she answered. He's probably busy with another work trip. We just have to wait a little longer. But when the child ran off to fetch water, Diep's hands trembled and her eyes grew misty. She missed him, she worried for him, and she feared the day he might never return. Later, when Lynn came back to see her, he noticed immediately the lingering redness in her eyes. You've been crying, he said gently. No, she whispered, wiping her face. It's just dust in my eyes. But Lynn knew better. And when he asked her quietly what she would do, what choice she would make, if it came down to choosing between her love for James and his safety, she fell silent. The afternoon breeze drifted around them, and somewhere in the distance, Nhi laughed as she played with the sand. Finally, Diep lifted her face. Her voice was soft yet resolute, the way a person sounds when they've already accepted the hardest truth. If the only way to keep him safe is to let him go, then I'll walk away. As long as he is alive. It was not weakness in her voice. It was love, pure, painful, and selfless. Lynn bowed his head, moved by the quiet strength in her decision, and promised her he would bring James home safely. Diep tried to smile. She bent down and hugged the little girl who came running back to her. Let's wait for Uncle James together. Okay, she said, but I'm mad at him. The girl mumbled. He made you cry. Diep laughed softly, a fragile but beautiful sound. I didn't cry, I just missed him too much. And as the sun lowered in the sky, she sat there in the fading light, waiting for the man she loved. Ready to let him go if it meant saving his life. Holding on to hope even as her heart prepared itself for sacrifice.